Welcome to the Edinburgh Fringe, and today, one of those show titles that a radio host looks at and thinks, there's going to be an Ofcom warning in the post if I'm not careful. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is Edinburgh calling. Ewan Spence here, and your Edinburgh Fringe show, podcast, radio, YouTube, media, collaboration-y thing. It all comes down to something simple. We're going to talk about stuff at the Fringe and find out more things. Be curious, be experimental, be investigative, and just enjoy the world of the arts as it takes over Scotland's capital city. Look at me, not only crashing over the entire theme tune, but getting through the entire theme tune there as well. Our Texas bagpipe rock and rollers Needfire have supplied that theme tune right back to when we started doing the podcast back in 2005. And as always, thank you very much. So, back to the Fringe with the podcast, back to Fringe 2026 with the daily podcast, and also back to the Fringe are today's guests, Marnina, Schon and Micah O'Connis. Classically trained, they brought Honey Honey Moon Moon to Edinburgh, and the popularity of that has seen them as popular fixtures in Fringe and theatre around the world. Now comes the rather adventurously titled follow-up, Folk, Marry, Kill. It is a folk tale about sex, death, and the hard question of how often should a married couple folk. In our interview, Marnina and Micah talk about the delights of writing a follow-up show, why Kill Your Darlings is something they still have to contend with, and coming back to the Fringe with a little more experience and expectation. There are moments when you look over a show title and you think, great, that one's easy. There are moments you look over a show title and you go, I hate them already. Folk, F-O-L-K, marry, kill. I am going to get into so much trouble with you two. You realise that, don't you?
Yeah, we spent a while figuring out what the title of this show should be. And we found with our last show, Honey Honey Moon Moon, it was like very cute to people, and we were like, we want to be not cute.
Yeah. And to clarify, we haven't changed as people, but we want to be perceived as edgy and cool. So folk, marry, kill.
We were like, let's get some young audience in, our own peers.
Well, on that young audience, Mark, welcome to a 21-year-old podcast that existed before even Apple knew what a podcast was. This is your audience. Joining me now, of course, is the team Couplet from the show FMK. Hey, I could use that. I could get around it. Marnina and Micah, welcome to the show. Now we've discussed the great big mind that you put in front of me. Tell us about the show.
Yeah, so we are a two-person musical comedy duo. We're a musical comedy duo called Couplet. And so we tell true stories from our lives. We've been together over 10 years, which is wild.
Yeah, it's longer. Yeah. Longer than some dogs live.
It's your second time at Edinburgh. What surprised you about last year's?
You know, we didn't anticipate the part of the festival of like playing on other people's shows so much. Like we ended up doing, I don't know, I think like 30 shows besides our own over the course of the month, which was awesome. So thrilling.
Whether it was like a stand-up show or like
a queer comedy show
or
a cabaret thing.
Yeah, what was the game that we played? Blood on the Clock Tower.
Blood on the Clock Tower.
There's a live sort of mafia style game where they pitted us against each other
right
which
away.
They had a lot of fun with.
It was really funny.
Yeah, that was really amazing. I think I knew I would get that we would like become better performers, but I was surprised by like how that actually felt by the end. I just was like, it felt just like I just felt more relaxed about performing at the end of the Fringe. I think I went in very nervous, and I came out. I just feel like I don't know, just
it seasoned us.
Yeah.
In the course of 1 month.
Mm-hmm. Like a good cast iron.
Has that changed how you approach this year's Fringe?
We wrote a show this year that would be a little easier to perform 25 times. It's still hard, but last year's show had a bit of a screamo song in it and like some like real belting, and we were like, let's be gentle. Let's be a little vocally gentle.
Yeah, let's remember all the morning voice that we had to warm up through every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. And also like I think this new show feels like an easier ride where like the depth of it sneaks up on you more, whereas last year's show was a little more like, you know, we just got married, so we had this profound experience and a crazy experience, and we want to share about that, but like
this one's a little more fun forward. We just
at first it just feels like a concert kind of, and then there's like, oh, something's happening.
Mm-hmm. I always love to ask and sort of just explore the idea of the 1 hour comedy length, because it's not something that you would normally see in the UK comedy circuit. You maybe see it a little bit more in the theatre. But how does that relate to your US experience of comedy, having to do a 1 hour show?
We love the challenge of structuring a 1 hour show, because it's like just long enough that if you don't have a through line, tether, and we can just be silly, but if you don't have that like little bit of heart in there, the audience is not going to make it past 40 minutes, and so that's
a great way of putting it. Well, also like if by the end somebody hasn't changed, you failed in an hour.
But that, do you mean the people on stage or the people in the audience?
I think both.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we look at it as writers, like what's an hour, like how can we change as characters? I'm putting that in quotes because we're playing ourselves or versions of ourselves. But yeah, I think we want people to at least leave our show having like feel like elevated, lifted, their spirits up. But we really love it. We get out the note cards. Since we're a musical act, primarily we like structure all the songs. We look at it like a playlist, but then we go, okay, but there's a story here, and so how can the story?
So there's a lot of moving things around, some really different versions of the show that existed for a moment. And we worked with an incredible director this year, Katie Lindsay, who does a lot of like workshopping with playwrights. She was New York based, then LA based, now heading back to New York. But she was incredible to collaborate with, and like really was like, okay, like how about this? Like, let's start off with this inciting incident and like kind of drop them into it theatrically, and then, find our way from there. Like ideas like that.
And we can spoil what that is. So the inciting incident of our show is on our wedding night, Marnina,
in the middle of consummating the marriage,
Marnina said to me,
"You're not allowed to die.
You're not allowed to die," which was confusing because the wedding was really fun, and so I just was like, "Why are you thinking about death right now?" And so through the show, we sort of unpack that, and we go to therapy. And and
it's like, each of our relationships to death, not in a like, someone asked like, oh, is this a show about a death? Like, does somebody die? And we're like, nobody, it's a show about death where nobody dies.
Yeah, it's more about anxiety. It's
Yeah.
more about this feeling that we all have about like, well, life is precious, and so how are we going to cope with that?
Yeah, and finding the balance between like being aware of and like prepared for mortality and just enjoying life.
Has that experience of examining the anxiety of death, which does sound like a prog rock album, by the way, has that process altered your feelings or brought them into sharper focus around that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, with these shows, we're always trying to amplify elements of our own personalities that already exist without oversimplifying them. I mean, Marnina tends towards a little more anxiety around death, and so I don't know. Have you felt like?
I mean, I
the
think
show?
in
Yeah.
sharing the show with like Hollywood audiences, because we just wrapped up Hollywood Fringe in June, like seeing and hearing afterwards like how much people like deeply related to my characters, quote unquote characters, perspective and my genuinely held perspective. Like I felt less alone in it, and so I think that part has felt healing for me. And also, yeah, like by the end of the show, I think I feel, I don't know.
Yeah, we in our, without spoiling this part because it's the end of our show, but we both sort of look into the abyss together, and there's a sort of a song that we wrote not to be funny right at the end. That is, I think, really resonating with people, which is awesome, and we, our characters sort of step in towards each other, right? And that's sort of a thesis that we have in our shows, is that like every good relationship requires you each to change a little, bend towards each other,
And to
yeah.
be like, we're a team, like there's got to be conflict in a show, but ultimately in a relationship and in a comedy duo, we have to be a team. And we're on the same side.
Staying with you as a comedy duo then, what did each of you have to change to draw yourself closer to the other comedically?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's fun.
I think my instinct is towards silliness, follow the fun. I come from more of a performer perspective. I grew up doing lots of musical theater. I did some clown training as a kid. And for me, like, I'm like, oh, well, we'll perform it in this funny way. Or I'm just like, this is funny to me, so that's gonna be funny. Whereas Micah comes from more of a like writer's perspective, like, well, what's the joke? Like,
Yeah.
how is it a joke?
Yeah, but
And I'm like, well, but it's funny. And they're like, how is it a joke?
yeah, but I would say that you're right in that, like, you've helped me just like come out of my head a little bit. Like I think a writery brain can kind of just like be like, okay, get technical with the joke, and then you need to deliver it. You need to actually like perform it. And so I would say comedically, like, yeah, I've become a little more silly and also a little more vulnerable. I think if left to my own devices, I might just be like doing one-liners that are like clever about, AAA batteries or something. But Marnina, I don't know, like just this challenge of writing about our relationship and
also,
together, and
like,
like we're
I
talking
feel-
about things
yeah.
that I'm genuinely not super comfortable talking about, like sex, like, I mean,
Death.
yeah, I'm a little more comfortable talking about death, but I mean, yeah, these are topics that I wouldn't necessarily elect to do on my own.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And I think you challenged me, one, to like rewrite something to make it more of
I'm
a
always
hard
rewriting.
joke. We're constantly rewriting. You've helped me be like, kill your darlings, you know, we have to, even though we loved that bit, like it's just not playing, it's not getting the laugh we want. It's getting a chuckle, but we need like a real laugh.
There's a ball and chain joke that we kept trying to make work that is not, it's gone. Yeah.
I think it's gone.
I'm now regretting not doing that as a round of the Newlyweds game just to see what you thought the other one would have said. But the moment is gone.
That's funny, yeah.
Actually, you said there that the final song, and again, let's not go into spoilers, but did you write that for the show, or was it already existing and just needed reworking?
That one, actually, we did a workshop of the show in April, and that song did not exist then. And then when we were preparing for Hollywood Fringe in June, our director, Katie Lindsay, was like, you need a new song at the end that's a bit more of a gut punch. And so we were like, okay, let's write it. And she's obsessed with it. So thankfully, we pleased the person who commissioned the song.
Is there any difference writing to order in a musical like that for the very end, with everything else already in place? You know, you can't really change the structure, you can't change the thread, you can't change the through line. What's it right having to write a different ending that then that feels like the organic ending?
I mean, in this example, it felt like, now it's a show. It felt like the final piece was put in place. I mean, sometimes when we're tinkering with the ending, it can feel like right now, because we're chatting with you, preparing for the Fringe, we are trying to tweak it a little bit, and it's so delicate that we're like, there's some
like
parts
so
of
much works. Pretty much everything works, but there's like a few things we want to like, let's pull that out just a little more, but we don't want to mess with things too much because generally it's right.
Yeah.
So finding the most delicate tweaks to make. But we even had a version of the ending. We were gonna do like basically a modular ending where like the audience makes a choice and we have multiple different options of how we end the show based on that choice. And
which happens a little bit in the show, but we
simplified how much we needed to learn and keep track of in our brains.
Because we were not,
Somewhere, Tim Curry approves of having multiple endings decided by the audience. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to rhyme 9 different
and we're
options,
not really musical improvisers like that. You know, like there's the Baby Wants Candy people who I've played violin with, and like they're really, really good at that, and they've really practiced that, and that's not what we've been focused on for the past few years. So it's just like,
What's it like then working with the equivalent of a Fringe institution then, and then going on and doing your Fringe show?
It's kind of wild because, they still work to like market their show, but they don't have to work as hard. And like the performers don't have to work hard to market the show. Like they kind of are just hanging out and then doing the show. And
so you feel jealous.
I felt jealous. I felt jealous of that. And also they're the sweetest people.
So you can't actually be mad at them.
I'm not mad at them.
No.
I love them. I adore them. So, and it was like really fun to like get to like be around like the most carefree people at Fringe who are just like having a good time and doing great work. And it just like, does throw into a contrast the version of Fringe that we're doing where we're self-produced. We didn't even, do a GoFundMe Kickstarter thing this year, which definitely if in a future year we need to do. But Michael was also fundraising for
an
an album that they wrote. So, it's we're hustling hard and we're just trying to like do everything we can to come close to breaking even organically.
I would say it's inspiring to see, just to reframe what you're saying.
It is also.
It's inspiring to see that if you come back to the Fringe, the audience is excited to see you. And so we're hoping that some people who saw our show last year are excited. I mean, hopefully they're not angry with us for going this edgy direction. No.
No, and also like playing with them was fun because we would like exit flyer for Couplet, like, the billions of people who come to see Baby Wants Candy.
I got really good at the phrase, if you liked the violinist from that show, you'll love this. If you like the violinist from the show, you'll love this.
How about that violinist, huh?
Yeah, how about that violinist? Yeah. You really figure out the least number of words.
Welcome to the Fringe. Those are the lessons that aren't written down anywhere. As of course, where you get to appear on. Oh, actually, given that you're probably going to be appearing in other people's shows and cabarets and bits like that, is that the time to bring out the ball and chain joke again? And just we're not doing anything from the show, but here's a bit we really wanted to do.
Here's the bit we cut.
Yeah, here's the joke that doesn't work. I mean, yeah.
I think at those cabarets, it'll be really fun to do songs that didn't make it into the show, because we had a lot of songs that were just like, oh, it just kind of doesn't fit the story.
We have this song called Fart Together, Stay Together. The title is self-explanatory. It hasn't made it into any show because it just doesn't feel important enough.
It's made it into the shows and it hasn't lasted in the shows.
It gets cut. But that's fun to do on cabarets, as well as songs from our last show. Like, it feels like we have a first album that we can pull from now, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Any reprise of the original show?
We have one song that is mostly reprised, but
it was sort of the favorite one about our couples therapist.
Yes, but we wrote a new bridge for it. So
there's some twists.
There's some twists to it. And we're like framing it differently, and it serves a different function in this show.
So it's quite callback, but you don't need to have seen Honey Honey Moon Moon then.
No, definitely not.
Are you going to do Honey Honey Moon Moon as a surprise show anywhere in the Fringe, or is it just going to be FMK?
Not currently. I mean, we'll see if somebody has a free night at their theater and is like, we really want you to do Honey Honey Moon Moon again. And guess what? You don't have to pay for anything.
Wow.
I have heard similar Fringe stories over many of the years. I would not discount that.
We did just do Honey Honey Moon Moon in Boston at the Huntington Theater, which is like the fanciest theater we've gone to perform at as Couplet. It's like a national level theater.
Yeah, and we're in talks to do it in a couple places in the States in the fall as well.
Let's go for the old-fashioned way of doing it. When's the show on?
4:35 at Assembly George Square, Studio 5, every day except for the 18th.
We will have a link back to that as well. If people want to find out more about you, websites, streaming sites, listening to music, is there one place to go?
The one place to go is our link tree. And then from there, we have all of the social links, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and links to stream our music and all of that on Spotify and all the streaming platforms, and the links to tickets for our shows. So that's coupletcomedy.com, actually. It's not a link tree anymore?
No, I'm saying we'll get it and we'll get to that.
I was like, what? We have a website?
Yeah. Well done. Marina's just given you a to-do list. And with that, I shall quietly leave the room. The show itself, we will have links to the box office. We will have links to your link tree now that you've given yourself a to-do list on that, because I don't think it's quite there yet. And really looking forward to seeing you both in Edinburgh.
We're so excited to be here.
It's our favorite place.
Marnina, Schon and Micah O'Connis, The show was Couplet, Folk, Marry, Kill. Assembly George Square Studio. It's where you will find that through to the 30th of August at 4:35 in the afternoon. As always, edinburghfringe.thepodcastcorner.com will give you the link into the Ed Fringe ticket office. You can search for it on the app as well, of course, and on the website, or, you know, straight to the box office, actually in person at George Square, anywhere that Assembly's website. Lots of ways to find your shows, find your tickets, and support the artists. And supporting the podcast is possible as well. Here it comes, folk. Link, like, love, share, and subscribe online. Leave your star ratings, if your thumbs up, wherever you are listening to the podcast. And it just lifts us up a little bit higher. Not, of course, to the rarefied atmospheres of the big, massive, goal-hangering podcasts out there in the world, but enough so that people who know what they're looking for are going to be able to find the Fringe and the podcast. Thanks very much. Catch you tomorrow. Thanks very much. Ta-ra for now, and catch you tomorrow. You've been listening to the Edinburgh Fringe Show, hosted by Ewan Spence, produced by Spence Media for the Podcast Corner. Listen to more from the Fringe at edinburghfringe.thepodcastcorner.com.